Oh, baby. I'm not sure, but I think you might have died. You better pinch yourself, people. I'm serious. Because you just might be in heaven right now. It's either that or you're on the Clark the Shark show at 1-800-449-8255. And I'm about to review. This is George. I'm gonna review me album Rubber Soul by the Beatles. Bloody hell, this is Paul McCartney, and I'd like to do a little disclaimer before we start this review. Clark the Shark, I'm gonna fucking sue you if you say one bad thing about me. I'm gonna get an attorney. I don't want you talking about the Beatles. You're not welcome to because, I don't agree with you. And I'm like, Paul, I don't care if you agree with me, baby. I don't care, because Clark the Shark agrees with you, Paul, when it comes to the Beatles' Rubber Soul, 1965, the year I was born. This incredible album, man. I actually like the American version much, much more than the British version? You don't like me British version, Clark the Shark? I'm like, no, Paul. I like the American version at 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show, the Wolfman Jack on crack. I'm coming to you live from the golden EIB Sharkraphone. That's right, and I'm going to review Rubber Soul by the Beatles. The Beatles? I don't think you have the right to review the me Beatles, Clark the Oh, I don't care, Paul. I'm going to review you because my listeners have died and gone to heaven, and now they're on the Clark the Shark Show, and they want to hear a review of one of the albums I think is one of the greatest. Oh, by this guy right here, Clark the Shark. He's so amazing. I don't think he's amazing. I wrote a lot of songs. And I wrote some songs. What about me? Bloody hell. All of you know I'm the guy in the Beatles. Well, maybe so, John. But Clark the Shark's like, I don't care, man. I love all the Beatles. Man, Rubber Soul is amazing. This album is way better than Revolver. And it's better than Beatles for Sale? Yeah, Paul. To me, this is like the best Beatle album. It's better than the White Album. This album is incredible. 1965, the golden year that Clark the Shark was born. The Beatles' Rubber Soul. Come on, you guys. I grew up with this. Yeah, when Clark the Shark was just 10 years old, I wanted to sue him because he likes the Ruttles with Neil Innes. I'm like, Paul, let it go, Paul. Quit suing people, bro. Come on. I know you don't agree with my politics, Paul McCartney, but I'm Clark the Shark from the golden EIB Sharkraphone, and I love me some Beatles Rubber Soul, 1965. One of the greatest rock albums ever recorded. And Paul's like, well, all right, man, just fucking review it. I don't care. Go ahead and review me album, Clark the Shark. Come on, Clark. Give it a review. Yeah, give it a review. All right, a review. Rubber Soul by the Beatles, 1965. Clark the Shark's I gotta talk about this album because I grew up with this fucking shit, man. This is like a picture of Oxford. It's like, oh, that's Oxford. What does that have to do with the Beatles? I don't even know if that's Oxford. There's always a building. Oh, this is where George Martin and the Beatles met one day and drank a coffee or tea at Oxford. I don't even know it. Well, there's always a picture of a sitar, like Pete Townsend once played a clavinet, or like glockenspiel. Like the fuck, like the instruments really matter, man. I mean, come on, 1-800-449. Oh, it's when we met right here Oxford, the theatre. What a bleeding theatre. Who cares, man? Now this is going to get all 5 stars, baby. 1-800-449-8255, The Clark Shark Show. All 5 stars, baby, for the Beatles' Rubber Soul. And Paul's like, Clark, I gotta help you, mate. If you don't let me help you, I'll fucking sue you with attorneys. I'll get a lawyer. I'm like, all right, Paul, drive me car. Oh, drive me car is amazing. I don't even need to tell you about Drive Me Car. Or Norwegian Wood. John wrote Norwegian Wood about burning. He wanted to fuck some lass, and he burnt her house down. I'm like, no, Paul. We didn't burn any house down. He's like, bloody yeah, now that I've heard the legend. Oh, once had a girl. Oh, should I say? She once had me, and I burnt her fucking bleeding house down. I wanted to get laid. This bird has flown. Didn't get laid, so I burnt her house down. Isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. Shut up, Paul. It's not what it's about. At 1-800-449-8255, but you won't see me. That's by me, Clark the Shark. I know, Paul. And normally, I can't stand Paul McCartney, but I love You Won't See Me. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. Coming from the golden EIB Sharkerphone. I love me some McCartney there. You won't see me. And of course, he's a real nowhere man. Ugh, now you're in Beatles heaven now, man. Nowhere Man. One of the greatest songs ever written in rock. And Paul's like, wait a minute, you won't see me. I'm like, no, sorry, Paul. Sorry, Paul. Nowhere Man by John is bleeding amazing. And I'm like, yeah, man, Nowhere Man. We're talking greatest rock and roll songs in the history of rock and roll. Nowhere Man. And Think for Yourself is by George. They just gave me a little medal with wood. The MBE, and we made all the corduroy swing. Well, yeah, the Beatles made some corduroy swing. I love it, though. Think for Yourself, man. And John's the word. I love it. I love it. I love the word. All you need is love, mate. All this fighting and fussing about it. Yeah, we just need love, says George. We just need love, says John, the word. Michelle, me belle. I hate Paul McCartney, but I love me some Michelle. It makes me think of every girl named Michelle. Back in Torrance and Redondo Beach and Hermosa Beach. I don't even know many girls named Michelle, but every time I hear Michelle, I want to think about a girl named Michelle. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. You're not in heaven. No way, baby. You're not on Little Steven's Underground Garage, George. But what goes on is probably the worst song the Beatles ever recorded. I can't even believe Lennon McCartney wrote that piece of shit. Get it off the album. It's Ringo. Oh, come on, Clark. Bloody hell, let Ringo sing one. I'm like, no. You sound like Barry Wom from the Ruttles. Bloody hell. I got to sing one song for the drums. Let Ringo, yeah. Oh, bloody hell, let Ringo sing, Clark. Alright, whatever. What goes on in my... Fuck that shit. That song sucks. Girl. I love Girl. Oh, Girl. I love it. Even George loves it. And I'm looking through you. Where did you go? I normally hate Paul McCartney. Everything he does. But I'm looking through you. What did I know? I thought I knew you. I love I'm Looking Through You. And of course, I'm In Me Life is one of the greatest Beatles songs ever written by John. In Me Life, amazing. And wait till you come back to me side. We'll forget the tears we cried. Of course, I like Wait. Not even sure if that's by John or George. I don't even care because I love it. Love the Beatles. Wait, and if I needed someone. If I needed someone almost sounds like the Birds. This song is so fucking killer. That song sounds like the Birds, man. It doesn't even sound like a Beatles song. I love George Harrison, If I Needed Someone. Incredible song. It almost rises above this whole album. It's so great. I love If I Needed Someone. George is like, thank you, Clark. And run for me life. If you can, you better run from Ron Nasty. He's gonna catch you, girl. If you do that again, you're dead. Oh, you better run for your life from Ron Nasty. You better run, Yoko. You better run, Cynthia. You better run from John. You better run for your life if you can, little girl. Hide your head in the sand, little girl. I love Run for Your Life. And John hates that song. Yeah, John hates Run for Your Life. I don't care. I love that song. Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. I love Run for Your Life. It's just such a brooding, dark song with Ron Nasty and the Ruttles are like, damn, damn, diddly diddly damn. It's looking good. It's looking good. It's looking good. It's looking good. I love Run for Your Life, and I love this whole album, Rubber Soul. I want you to buy this album right now. I don't even care if Paul McCartney's worth 500 million. You still buy this album, you know. If you don't buy this bleeding album, I'm going to get attorneys and lawyers. I'm going to sue the Ruttles and Clark the Shark and Neil Innes estate. I'll fucking sue bloody everyone if you don't buy me album. And you won't see me. The Beatles, Paul. And normally I don't like Paul, man. I can't stand Paul McCartney. But on this album, baby, he is amazing. And so is this guy right here, John. It's alright, I left Cynthia not long after this album and I went for Yoko. I don't even care, John. You do what you want to do, man. The Beatles' Rubber Soul, 1965. We're talking about an amazing album. Both the British and the American version. They're both so great, man. The Beatles' Rubber Soul is amazing. Every song. And Paul's like, we were smoking so much grass when we recorded that album. All we did was smoke. And we experimented with LSD. And I'm like, Beatles, you know, I never said you guys were like anti-drug crusaders or any of that here on the Clark the Shark Show at 1-800-449-8255. Never, man. You guys had to do what you had to do to make one of the greatest rock and roll albums ever recorded in the history of rock and roll. Rubber Soul by the Beatles. Bloody hell. That's amazing. Rubber Soul. I want you to buy this album and support Yoko. And believe it or not, I like Yoko Ono. She's the first punk rock weirdo girl, woman's lib, punk rocker. He's all, that's right, me wife was a punk rocker long before the Sex Pistols or any of that, Clark the Shark. I know, John. Yoko Ono, as noisy and screechy and annoying as she is, she's a rock goddess. George is like, oh, you know, he made so much corduroy twist. I can't even do a George voice. Ringo's like, well, you know, I sit back here in the back of the drums and no one even notices me. And I couldn't even hear when I went to do a roll or a fill. The whole crowd, like when we played Shea Stadium, you couldn't even hear me. I'm like, Ringo, they could have got Pete Best. They didn't even need you. They only got me because I'm ugly. Look at me, I got a big nose. And in fact, a lot of people in America thought I was a British Jew. But I wasn't. You weren't? I thought you were. No, Paul. I was... come on, mate. Oh, bloody just admit it, Ringo. I'm going to keep it a family show. It's Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255 and the Beatles' Rubber Soul. One of my favorite albums of all time. I love this album, you guys. And I want you young people, age 11 to 31, in 2023, right now, I want you to buy the Beatles, Rubber Soul. Don't buy the Foo Fighters. Fuck Dave Grohl. Even if he hangs out with me, Cluck the Shark. Yeah. Fuck that shit. Fuck the 90s. Fuck the OOs. Fuck the Killers and all that crap. I want you to buy albums from the 60s like Rubber Soul by the Beatles. That's what Clark the Shark wants you to listen to. I want you to cut it off about 1990, 91. That's it. Don't listen to any more music after that. Just listen to my band, The Greenhouse Effect and Clark the Shark. Because I plenty go back to these times in the 60s. I do, man. I mean, yeah, he's authentic. He grew up with me music. And I did, man. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. I mean, they're brainwashing you people, you guys out there, to get you into left wing. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's great to get a check from COVID because Dave Grohl wants you to get a vaccine. And the Foo Fighters, yeah, they want you all to get vax. Oh, yeah, sure. And vote for Biden 6 times and mail in votes. Whatever. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. But I'm telling you right now, man, just ignore all that shit. Go back to the 60s. Because in the 60s, man, people, when they were marching against a war, it was different, man. When Grace Slick is against a war, it's different, man. When Marty Ballin and John Lennon are against a war, it's different because I think they really were against all wars, man. And today, look at the Democrats now. They support Ukraine. I support Ukraine too. But in a different way. I support the people of Ukraine. I don't just support them knee jerk, because Zelensky is a leftist and, he's the president of Ukraine, so you got to support Ukraine. Because Putin's so evil. I think Putin's evil. I think Russia's evil, and they're wrong for invading Ukraine. But I have a different take. I'm just not going to automatically support a war just because that's right, Clark the Shark. You don't do that. That's 1-800-449-8255. Yeah, I kind of agree, mate. You just don't support a war just because American CNN and liberal leftists. I mean, I keep this on the down low, but these are me views. I'll keep it to myself. I'm like, don't keep it to yourself, man. If you got views, you let your political views out on the Clark the Shark Show at 1-800-449-8255. And I do support Ukraine. I do support Zelensky because I don't support Putin invading a country like Ukraine, man. And I'm not one of those Trump retards. I support Trump, and I support Republicans, but I don't support the retards who support Putin automatically. The rednecks out in Arkansas and Alabama, they're just knee-jerk for Putin. And John's like, that's right, you just all we are saying is give peace of ass. That's John, right there. He's always thinking about like Yoko or. But 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. I love Rubber Soul. Give peace a chance. Yeah, I support Ukraine. I don't like Putin. But I got more respect for Putin than I got for liberals in America at 1-800-449-8255. And all you people out there, don't think because you're tall and you're good looking and you're pretty and your parents love you and you watch Fox News and it means you can't like the Beatles, you can't like him. Well, because you can. And all you people out there who are 5'6", 5'4", and you're ugly and nobody likes you, and people laugh at you and make fun of you because you're short, or you're black or you're Mexican and you're short. John would be like, you try for a bird anyway. I mean, I got Yoko. Look at me, I'm not even that good looking. I'm just a Beatle. Yeah, well, I'm good looking. I can get girls. Well, like, what about me? I got, what was her name? Like Barbara, whatever. She was a good looking bird. He got a good-looking buzz, no doubt. Bloody hell. Yoko, everyone's saying Yoko's ugly, and Cynthia was so pretty. And I never said that, John. I never said. I didn't say anything bad about Yoko. Neither did me. I would never say anything about anyone. I'm just neutral all the time. I'm like, I'm kind of like John. Just everyone relax. Let's all chill out and give peace a chance. Yeah, mate, let's give peace a chance. Even give Ukraine some peace. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show, Rubber Soul, The Beatles. You gotta love this album, man. Even for the Paul McCartney. I love this. This is like my favorite Beatles album. I grew up with this album. When I was 5 years old, I had this album, the American version, and I played it, and one day I found it broken. I never forgot that day. Walked out in my living room, and my Beatles album was broken on the floor. Someone broke my album. They broke your album on purpose. They're trying to stop you from liking the Beatles. Yeah, they did it on purpose, Clark. They're trying to stop you from listening to me. Yeah, it might have been intentional. I think someone broke your Beatles record. We'll never know what happened to my Beatles record in 1971. I found it broken in my living room. Just 5, 6 years old. I'd play my Rubber Soul album endlessly. I was just 5 years old. I remember my brother Paul told me the Beatles broke up because of Yoko. It wasn't because of Yoko. They were breaking up anyway. I was just a kid, 5, 6, 1970, 1971. Every night I would play the Beatles' Rubber Soul. Just a 5-year-old kid on a little record player, and I love these songs. I love the Beatles from the time I was just a young lad. Rubber Soul, you guys. I grew up with it. I mean, I loved the Who Tommy when I was 4. I remember hearing the Overture. I remember hearing Led Zeppelin when I was just a kid, man. But for some reason, the Beatles' Rubber Soul, it stands out, man. It stands out more than anything to me. This album is special to me, you guys. Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. This Beatles album, Rubber Soul, 1965. I listened to this when I was 5 years old and I loved it. And from there, I just got